Hello, everyone, and welcome to Learn Plus. My name is Brenda Bailey Hughes. I'm the host of this monthly live LinkedIn show that is designed to teach you one new professional skill. That's the learn. And then the plus is to make sure you have a way to teach it to others, because we know we have a lot of learning and development folks online with us, and HR people and coaches and leaders that train their own staff. So that is the goal of Learn Plus. And I'm so glad that you are here. If you haven't already, take a moment, please, and maybe drop into the chat where you are today so that we get a sense of who all is joining us and where you're coming in from. I'm in Bloomington, Indiana, which is in the Midwest of the section of the United States, about 4 hours south of Chicago, for those of you who know a little bit about the Midwest. And there's Shelby is here from Tennessee today, and Shelby is our producer. So she's making all of the magic happen behind the scenes. If you have any technical issues, you'll want to chat with Shelby. Hopefully everybody can find that chat function. Bradley, glad you're here from Virginia. Welcome. So happy that you're here. While you're finding the chat and typing to us where you're coming in from, we had about 67, something like that, RSVPs today. So I know we've got a great crowd out there watching and learning. I wanted to just preview where we're headed with the next 20, 30 minutes. I do a lot of training around customer service, and I've frequently used what's known as the rater model to teach the elements that customers are really looking for in a customer service experience. And in the last few years have started sort of merging my work in design thinking, which is an empathetic problem-solving methodology, or also known as sort of a creativity approach. I've merged design thinking and customer service into a really interesting space that I'm going to talk to you about. And then within this last year or so, started to look at how AI can help us use design thinking tools in this customer service space. So in addition to Bradley from Virginia, we've got Elijah on board with us. Abdul, happy Monday to you too. Shwinganji from India, thank you so much. I'm not sure what time it is for you, but I'm glad that you're here. Welcome aboard. And why don't you also, those of you who are in the text or the comments and chat, text to me or chat to us how you define your customers. Are they primarily internal? Are you serving other people within your own company? And if so, what's their role? Are you serving a lot of engineers? Are you serving a lot of medical practitioners? Who's your customer internally? And looking externally, who do you serve beyond your organization? Who are your clients, your customers outside of the organization? For me, I do a lot of training work. So my clients would be corporate HR people, corporate learning and development people who are looking for just the right fit. Once I'm assigned a group or I'm partnered with an organization, maybe it's an executive who's getting coaching from me on their communication. Those are my clients, my customers. Who are yours? I'd love to know the roles that they have so that we can tailor our conversation today to what they're up to and where they are. So yeah, here we're serving other customers. You're in data engineering, so you could serve customers by providing them with data. And so thank you. What would you say, what are the titles of some of your customers? Who is it? To whom are you providing this data? That would be interesting. Bradley worked in the mailroom for 3 years. My customers were the company's clients, the other employees. Great, Bradley. Thank you. So anybody that happened to be on the floors, in an office, in a cubicle, you're delivering. Got it. Perfect. Who else has had a particular customer in mind that you want to make sure you're providing great service to them? Shelby, how about you? Who are your customers? I'm kind of one of Shelby's customers, I guess. I think of us more as a team, but and Bradley, that was a company where the client was Microsoft. Okay, great. Thank you. And so we're thinking, think about the kind of people who work at Microsoft, those are your customers in that case. That's great. Well, I'm going to pull up a screen with you and share these 3 tools for today and 3 specific ways that AI can help us. And we're going to start out by talking about personas. Have any of you used personas before to create more empathy toward your customers? So the idea around a persona is that it's not exactly one of your customers, but it's sort of an amalgamation of a lot of customers turned into sort of an archetype of a person, so that when we're designing or improving or enhancing our customer service, we're always thinking about the people that our service affects. So that's what a persona does. It really grounds us. So when I started using personas, I was still teaching in a university setting. And so my personas were my students. And so then when I was designing curriculum, when I was thinking about a classroom activity or experience, I would have these great big flip charts all around my office with 2 or 3 archetypal students. So maybe I would have my sort of domestic, even student from in-state here in Indiana where I taught. And maybe this was a young man from a sort of a rural area who is now living in a dorm with a much more diverse population, and he'd been maybe he was a high school track star, and now he's sort of a little fish in a really big pond because I taught in a very large Research One institution. Maybe he's feeling a little lost, a little sad. And then maybe one of my other archetypes is an international student who actually, came from a really big city, and now they're living in a town that to them feels like a small town because it's a college town. The city itself is not all that big. And they're maybe a little homesick, but they're also excited about their adventures. Maybe they're struggling to keep up sometimes socially or academically because the language is new to them or newer, and that adds this whole layer of complication to their lives. So, I have these student personas hanging around all around me, and then those personas are what I would look to when I was thinking about an activity. I would stop and pause and think, well, how would that affect, and these personas had names, how would that affect John? How would that affect, Abdul, if Abdul was one of my students and my persona students? So these archetypes, like I said, are a lot of fun to create and then to keep you empathetic in your design strategy. Now, I was talking about designing classes, but any time you're presenting data or you're working with data and you're thinking about what struggles does this particular customer or client have? How can we craft our service to them, our data that we're sharing out to them, using the example that we had earlier, in a way that would most befit this audience? So again, anybody has ever had, I'm so lucky because I get to learn things like this when I'm behind the scenes, Shelby said. Hanging them in the office was great fun for me. So no one, it doesn't look like anyone's used a persona before. So the pictures that you're seeing right now, of course, are sort of, people tore these out of magazines that I take to class when we're going to do, or to workshops when we're going to build personas, or they've used construction paper to make their own. These don't have to be fancy. Sometimes they're just really simple drawings. But I wanted to give you a story, a real life story about using personas outside of myself. There's a story that when Nintendo was developing the Wii, they intentionally said, let's think about a persona who is not the typical hardcore gamer. They typically design their games and their game consoles, it was for people who were 18 to 30, largely male population, people who loved to game. And they said, wait a minute, what if we designed a game console that was for the very young or for someone a lot older than our typical demographic? And it was out of that persona usage that they developed the Wii. And oh goodness, are we still there? Shelby? Because my system just went blank. Oh, okay, I'm back. Are you still there? Yay. Do we still have everybody on with us, Shelby? Maybe. So that's our we story, and how the we was invented largely using a persona, an archetype that was different than what we were used to. Can you hear me, Shelb? Great. Okay. So again, these don't have to be fancy. You can just sketch them out, but you're shooting to have things like that, some of the demographics of your persona. You want some of their pain points. You want their needs related to what you have going on. So those are some of the things to include when you're developing a persona. This is one of the first places I started using AI to help me, because I'm a terrible artist. So drawing out my own, sketching out my own personas was really tough. And sometimes AI was helpful in generating ideas. So this one on the right was, I was working for a group that dealt largely with parts managers at car dealerships. And so I went into my AI tool, I think I was using ChatGPT, and I just typed, hey, I want a persona, a customer service persona for a parts manager. And I gave it a few ideas. Like, I knew that a lot of the persona was that they worked in this really fast, noisy environment, because I'd been into shops where parts managers were. I had that sense of it. I said, I know that it's important to them to kind of balance their life and get home and watch their favorite Kansas City football games, and so that showed up. And I said, so create that persona for me. And then it kicked back the goals, the expectations, the pain points. Now, of course, I didn't just take the AI's information totally for granted, because I'm not sure I would trust that. But I vetted it with actual parts managers to get a better sense of what they thought. And that then, once you vetted it, can become a really interesting piece. So I'm curious if anyone wants to try using AI. You could give us a sense of, if you pull up your favorite AI tool and maybe find out what, if you type in create a customer service persona, including demographics, some personality factors, you can use these categories, information on the work environment, the pain points my person might feel, their motivations and challenges, their goals and expectations. You can pick any of those categories that you want. And I usually tell ChatGPT that I use to also give me a name and a photograph or a picture, an AI generated photo of my person. And that's how I get something that I can then vet. So that could be fun for all of us to play around with at some point. If you're trying it now, I'll give you a second to think about it, and then would love to hear what kind of results you get and whether you feel like it is something you could print off and take to meetings with you in order to show off a little bit of your, and keep everybody in your team grounded as they're working through these various things. And then let's say you've had a customer service complaint, or you got some customer service feedback and you're responding to it. You could just respond by pulling a team meeting together and saying, okay, let's start with this persona that we have. All right, so persona and using AI to help you create the persona is one of those first steps that we can take. Now, the next tool that I frequently use is a journey map. And a journey map takes that persona that you've created and it maps it, their experience. And it can map their experience. This particular one that you're looking at is over a designated amount of time, and it is mapping on whether they're having a good experience or kind of a bad experience. So this one was a student. We had an archetypal student who was going through the recruiting process, which usually started at the institution where I taught with an internship. And so they're having this great internship. They're feeling really good about it. They love what they're doing. And then, so they're kind of on a high, but then the place where they were does not make them an offer. So now they're in this slump of an experience. They're feeling really depressed, really sad. Maybe they started to feel a little bit better, but then their friends started to get interviews and they don't. And so we just keep mapping whether they're having a great experience or a bad experience. And when they're having bad experiences is when we wanted to get in and help support them. Okay, so Bradley asked for a persona for a game company. Is that your ultimate career goal? Love it. So and then you could even do this, Bradley, with something like, how would I, once you have that persona, it could be thinking about who would you be interviewing with at a game company? Who would you be working with? What did those people need? And that way you start building your internal customer service around exactly what the pain points are. You start building out your skill set based on what do these folks need that I could bring to the table. Here's another example of a journey map. This one, we're moving not just through experience of good or bad, but experience, time, and space. So it's a grocery store experience. We've got from the time you open the cabinet or the refrigerator and you realize you need food to where you go for parking. And if you had to park way far away from the doors and you have some sort of issue with walking, then that's a really bad experience, or it's raining or it's gross weather. Parking far away is going to be a bad experience for you. You enter the doors. Are the carts all jammed up and you have to pull and yank to get them apart? Are there the food that you want? Is it on the shelves? Is the shopping easy? Is it pleasant? Are you finding the choices that you want? How long do you have to stand in the checkout? Each one of these experiences maps to the experience of the user, their time, and their space. So that is a journey map. I think an interesting use of persona and trying to immerse herself in the experience is a story about the former CEO of PepsiCo, Indra Nooyi, who would go into a shop, a different grocery each week or so, and just wander the aisles. And she said, not with my PepsiCo CEO hat on, but with my mom hat on, my family shopper hat on. And that as I roamed the aisles, that's how I could really immerse myself into the experience of my customer. And then from that, she could create these journey maps that were much more detailed and authentic because she had had the experience herself. So that's some thoughts for you. And then again, we can use customer service, or we can use AI to help create a journey map. It's even one of the prompts. Bradley, you did it with persona. When I typed in the creation of a persona recently, it gave me the persona details. And then the very next question was, do you want me to create a journey map as well? And I could say, yes, but I want the journey map to be of their interaction with, and then give a specific part of the customer service experience. So Bradley's did it, and he got a gamer who struggle with lag and can be toxic, and they balance gaming with schoolwork. They deal with their parents saying they spend too much time gaming. So that's great. So it gave you were looking at the actual customer experience. Who are these gamers that we're designing for, and how can we provide products and services that help them with the pain points that they experience? And then, like I said, I think it'd be interesting for you to also try to identify what are the pain points of who your colleagues would be if you're working in that organization, because then you can kind of adapt to that. I know that my camera is off and we are working on fixing that, but thank goodness we've got great PowerPoint today, so we can just roll without it if we need to. I don't need to see my ugly mug anyway. All right. So the last tool that I want to talk about is using your AI for role playing difficult customer service experiences to give you practice in a safe space. So the example I have on the screen right now is I'm the customer rep. I want you to role play, and I'm typing this into my chat GPT or whatever AI tool you use. I'm the customer rep. You're the customer. Ask me for a package upgrade. I need to tell you no. So that would be the first go around. I might just say, I'm going to have to tell you no. And this gives you, because it's hard to say no to a customer in a way that is empathetic and that keeps their loyalty. It keeps them coming back. It keeps them satisfied. And yet we all know we can't say yes to everything our customers ask for sometimes. So you could type that in and role play back and forth, and then do a round back and forth with your AI for that, and then say, okay, throw me a curveball. So it throws you something that you hadn't even thought of yet. And then after you role play for a while, try saying, okay, give me feedback on that interaction. And the AI can tell you, you did a good job of this, but you used some negative language here where maybe you could have used more positive language. You did a good job of saying no, but providing alternatives. So there's a lot of great feedback that you can get from your AI tool as you role play different scenarios out. Now, I chose saying no to a customer. I'm sure you have your own examples of what might be a challenge in terms of dealing with customers or getting a tough conversation started with a customer. Maybe it's not a difficult conversation like having to say no or telling them that they were wrong, but maybe it's you have to increase the price and you have to tell them that, or you need information from them and they haven't been good at giving you that. So there's a whole lot of things maybe that you can do there. Okay. I think, yeah, that is the three tools that I wanted to introduce to you now. And they are working with personas, they are working with journey maps, and they are role playing difficult customer situations with your AI. Hopefully, those are tools you didn't already know and are new to you that you can try using. I'm still trying to get back to you because I'd love to see you one more time before I log us out. No, I don't think so, Shelby. Thanks. Shelby's giving me lots of directions to try to get that camera working, and I haven't figured it out yet, so that's okay. I will leave you with this. I have a brand new LinkedIn course. It's a nano course, so if you have even 15 minutes, you'll have enough time to get through this course. I think Shelby has a screen here for us where you can find that course. And I appreciate all of you so much. Appreciate your input, your comments. I love hearing about the customers that you have. I hope you'll stay in touch and let me know how you use Persona, Journey Map, or AI, and what are some of the prompts that worked best for you? What were some of the outcomes of that? That would be a lot of fun. You've got the URL or the scan code there, the QR code right there in front of you. You can also always just go to LinkedIn Learning and type my name, but this will take you directly to the new Customer Service Nano course. So fast, furious, 15 minutes of fast-paced information. You'll hear a little bit more about personas and journey maps and role playing, but there's also 7 other tools and concepts in there that I think will be really helpful to you. Thank you all again so much for joining today, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.